So I'm picking up exactly the playbook that, of course, we dealt with of just the science becomes overwhelming, and
Right.
then they are faced with the fact that they're going to lose, all this money, with certainly with pharma billions of dollars. So they have to overplay their hand. Basically, they have to ask for liability protection because otherwise they're going to go down the drain, their companies. And so that's precisely what happened with us. But then what I fear for all of us is that once they do get liability protection, of course, what stops them from that, there's no incentive for safety, like Rolf said. Then there's going to be, the gold rush of all the companies making new pesticides because why not? And there's no incentive to be safe. You don't have to have any clean manufacturing processes. Everything's very sloppy, and we all end up being much more chronically ill because of it. For us, just for me, with my son ending up with autism, in the late 80s, it was 1 in 10,000. And so now it's 1 in 36 children. And so probably a lot of you know that a child with autism, it's 1 in 22 boys in California. The school systems are collapsing because of it, because a full 50% of the kids in school have some sort of special ed individualized education program. So the teachers can't give more time to the regular kids. They're having to spend time with the special ed kids. And it's all because of all the toxins that we're giving them, including pesticides. An estimated 44% of millennials now have a chronic health condition. So back to what Lisa was saying, we see that generation of children, 35 and younger, that are all coming up with all these disabilities and chronic health conditions. There it was a science article that came out at the end of July, and I just put the link in linking pesticide use to increase cancer, and not just the glyphosate, but all sorts of pesticides, and it goes one by one, and it goes across the country of how it's affecting so many things. And of course, um, they have to do something. Lisa, I think you were the one that was from Iowa, and
Mhm.
Kelly, you were saying they've gone across the country and they're trying to put it in different states. Exactly what we've been dealing with of the mandates with vaccines in all of these different states. So CHD ended up playing whack-a-mole, right? We run to North Carolina, New York, California, all these different states to put our energy into those places because they're mandating, knowing that if they win in these states, they're going to, certainly win in other places. As you all know, COVID happened, and for better or worse, COVID opened up the eyes of so many people of the damage that vaccines can do. And right at the beginning of the COVID epidemic, they put in the countermeasures injury compensation program. It's part of the PrEP Act. Rolf, I'm sure, can talk to you about that. But when there was only 15 people sick in America, they were sick on a cruise ship right outside of Washington State. The Congress put in the PrEP Act, reenacted the PrEP Act, which put in the countermeasures injury compensation program, which means that all the injuries from all the vaccines that were put out, not one can go to court or do anything about it because any countermeasure was deemed, liability free. So if they puncture your esophagus when they're putting anything, to a breathing tube, sorry, that was COVID related. It was countermeasure, so you couldn't be sued, which of course, that opened up so many other problems of, everybody got on the gravy train for COVID. In 86, only 25 doses of 6 vaccines were routinely given to children. That was the year that the act became law. In 2000, it was 30 doses of 11 vaccines. In 2005, it was 53 doses of 16 vaccines. Today, our children get 73 doses of 17 vaccines. So my point I'm making is if pesticides are liability free, then we're just going to be inundated with pesticides everywhere. There's no going back. Vaccines have never undergone rigorous testing. And of course, you'll end up seeing that where the EPA might say now pesticide use is a problem. They'll end up backtracking that if they can get rid of it. Any of the studies they will. That's what CDC has done. They've hunkered down and said, oh, that's not the case, even though we have FOIA documents showing Simpsonwood, if you hear that word, Simpsonwood is when they got together and all pharma, CDC, FDA, EPA, and all decided that they were not going to tell the public of what was happening, what they saw with vaccines, how it was injuring children.